Wood Buffalo and the rest of the world. You've tuned in to the Mac City Morning Show, and I am your host, Elliot Pierre. We'll start the show off the same way we start every show off, with a little bit of gratitude. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, so it really does mean the world to me that you're spending it with us. I know I say it a lot, but I mean it every time. On that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro.
How's she cutting me, loves? You're listening to the Mac City Morning Show.
All right. So, this is a monumental episode because we have our first, yes, our first repeat guest. You excited about this, Tanner?
I am indeed.
Me too. This is a second show for this lady. I'm pumped. So, as you know, I don't introduce my guests. They can do a better job at that than myself. So, on that note, can you please reintroduce yourself to everybody at home?
Hi, everybody. I am Jessica Leska. I'm a local ultra-marathoner.
There you go. Now, you just did a huge ultra marathon. Not a marathon. You did a huge run. I don't know. What do you call in this thing?
I think you would call it ultra-marathon, but it's kind of technical. It's staged rather than straight, like time doesn't stop.
Right.
Type thing.
So, how many kilometers did you just run?
It was 197 point something.
197 kilometers in how many days?
I did it in 4 days.
In 4 days, in the middle of the winter.
Yes.
Average temperature being?
It was super mild though. Right before we went.
It wasn't. What was it? If it has a negative in front of the number?
Actually, I don't know if it even did. I think it was like 6 degrees maybe.
Oh, you got lucky then.
No, not lucky.
Why?
It makes the snow really, really soft.
Okay.
So it becomes almost like running through sand.
So it was harder.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Even better for you. I love it. Like, you are so resilient. So for the people at home, like, your journey changed so many times.
So many times.
Initially, what was the initial run? You were running up north through where?
I was supposed to run all the way to Fort Smith.
Right.
And then because of COVID, Parks Canada didn't build the road past. So they built the road from Fort Chip to Fort Smith.
That's right.
And they were approached by Northwest Territories and asked not to build it because of COVID. And they agreed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, okay, no big deal. I could just run to Fort Chip. It doesn't have to be the full way this time. I can, do that next year or something like that.
Right.
So I had been planning to run to Fort Chip for the longest time. And then a week before we left, some concerns were raised by the community about the shortened season of the road. We had so many mild periods that they kept having closures, and because they're so remote and they only have the winter road, they have a short window to get all their fuel and supplies delivered, right? So
right.
Picture that with so many closures, suddenly their window was much, much shorter, and they were concerned about my safety and concerned about delaying. So I listened, and like a week before we were set to go, I changed the route again.
Yeah. And so where did you end up running?
So I ended up running south towards Anzac around Stony Mountain Wildland and back.
Right.
It's basically where I had been training all winter, and I just connected all the trails together.
Yeah.
And I had that as a backup plan the whole time anyways, just in case. So.
Right.
And it ended up working out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're running middle of the winter, new route, familiar, new route. Weather conditions are completely different than what you thought you were going to be running. You were preparing for like frigid cold.
Yes, I had been overnighting in like -40, training in -40.
That's right.
And then when it came to go time, it was nothing I had ever ran in. You know what I mean? Normally, when it comes springtime like that, I'll run on sidewalks just to avoid.
That's right.
So it was totally new.
Yeah. So what was that experience like? Like, were the clothes that you packed, the shoes that you packed, like completely different? They're
totally different.
They're soaked now.
Yeah.
Like, not because of sweat, because of like slush.
Yeah.
So what was like the running in that like? What was like afterwards? Like hanging up your clothes at night? How did you deal with these new conditions?
Well, it started with my food. I had been planning to bring a lot of fat bombs because they're high calorie and high fat. but they melt.
Oh,
So I had to switch that out and like on the day before go find, I think I chose chocolate covered almonds and chocolate covered raisins
okay.
as a replacement. So once that was done, then I wore capris instead of my normal leggings, and I wore my summer socks.
Right.
So it was an interesting combination because I had to choose between, okay, I'm wearing capris, but I still need my gaiters to keep the snow out of my shoes.
Right.
But it's so hot. So either I'm so hot that like my feet are moist because of that, or it's because I'm kicking snow into my own shoes because I have no gaiters.
That's right. That's right.
So it was, I had to make some on the fly decisions, and
Right.
luckily, like the route that I chose had a lot of fire pits along it,
Okay.
and they had wires for hanging your clothes over it. So I just hung my shoes every night,
Yeah.
hung my socks, because I went through a lot of socks.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Hmm.
Okay. Now the shoes that you had, like, you still running these, or are they destroyed? They're game over now.
No, they're good. They go.
Okay.
They're good up to like 500 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got a couple hundred left.
Okay. Now, in regards to the sleeping arrangements, you camped the whole way,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah. So I would get into camp after my run, and I would have to cook my food, melt snow for my water bottles the next day, and
Mhm.
set up my tent.
Right.
And I had a nice lightweight tent. It's only like 1.17 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting. It was an interesting change from being used to having tents set up for you and food cooked,
Right.
and definitely having water.
Yeah. You got to boil your own water every day.
Yeah, yeah. It took forever, and then I always wound up having like pine needles and old man's beard in my water.
That's hilarious. So, what was the timeline? So, how long, on average, were you running per day? Would you say?
So I had planned to do 50K a day,
Okay.
but the first campsite wound up being 60K away.
Okay.
So day one was 60, and then because of the mild weather,
Mm-hmm.
we were due to have 3 really mild days and then freeze up again. So I only did about 36 for the second and third day each,
Right.
and wound up saving the last 60 for the
The freeze up day.
yeah, which
Okay.
was a good decision because by the end of day 3, from um like basically hiking in the soft snow and pulling my sled through it, I was just
Done.
I was done. Like I just practically staggered into our campsite, and I didn't know like how the hell am I supposed to do this again tomorrow? Like I am
Right.
just totally blasted. But I did, and it was firmer, so it ended up being a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. So now you get to your campsite. You're done. You're finished. You still got to set up everything. You still got to
Yes.
cook. So, like, what amount of time is spent setting up, cooking, melting water? How many more hours are you up until you can go to bed?
That's a good question because I remember when I was training for this, I kept thinking, what am I going to do with all my time? Because I'm going to be done at 5,
Right.
and then you have the whole night. Like, what am I going to do? Maybe I should meditate, take up
Right.
meditation. But there's so much chores to do and it seems to take forever that by the time you finish, it's bedtime anyways. So
Right.
I would be done. I would be cooking my food, and that takes a while. You got to wait. Like, you got to boil the water, which takes forever. And it's
Mhm.
funny because the guys had a jet boil.
Mm-hmm.
I had this stove that's supposed to be better for really cold,
Mm.
but so much slower than the jet boil.
Right.
So they would be sitting there watching me as I'm like boiling my water and melting my snow, and it's taking forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it took at least 4 hours every night to get everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
yeah. It was, but it was interesting. It was fun.
Okay. So interesting and fun. That leads me into my next question. You said you're planning on potentially doing this again? You said like,
Well, yeah. So I had told myself when the whole all the way to Fort Smith wouldn't happen that I
Mhm.
would do it next year. But now that next year is here, I actually ended up registering for the Iditarod. So I'm going to do the Iditarod now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm still going to do a local one here,
Oh, right on.
just much shorter. I
Yeah.
really enjoy the whole experience adventuring here and like documenting it and showing people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that one in January and then Iditarod's end of February.
Okay. And I saw we had a guest earlier in the week, Willie. Willie from Shaw came by.
Oh,
Yeah, he was hanging out with us for a bit. So he came out and they did some videography work for you guys.
yes, they did. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I saw some of their stuff went out for you. Like, man, they're good at what they do.
Yes.
Some of the like they're extremely talented individuals. So are you putting something bigger out with Shaw, or they just came to document some of it while you're going?
Well, so they're putting something together, but mind you, Shaw's bits are usually about 5 minutes, and they're struggling to make it only 5 minutes because there's
Yeah.
so much material.
Of course.
So they're thinking they're gonna make it like a part one, part two type thing,
Oh, cool.
and then we might put it into the Banff Film Festival.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that'd be epic.
yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. It's really neat to see.
Yeah.
They do a really good job. And
Oh.
it was last minute. We had to find a skidoo for them.
Right.
Both of them, neither of them had skidoo experience.
Oh,
So
no way.
it was, it could have gone so many ways. We're very fortunate that it ended up going smoothly.
That's awesome.
Well, smoothly.
Smoothly. Yeah. Hey, it worked. It worked.
It
We'll just
worked.
say that.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right, we're part of the show where Tanner's going to ask you the Mac City Minute. You already know what this segment's about, so you killed it last time. I have no doubt that you killed it this time. Tanner, hit her with the Mac City Minute.
Question number 1. What was the coolest part of your past run?
I'd say the pine needles in my water.
Question number 2. What draws you to doing the Iditarod so much?
Just the allure of the idea of pushing yourself so hard in the harshest of conditions.
Question number 3. How did you celebrate your completion of your run?
With a Mike burger.
A Mike burger. Uncle
Yeah.
Mike? Big?
Mr. Mike's.
Mr. Mike, that's
burger.
right.
Yeah.
Question number 4. What is something you learned from your run?
I learned that I need to take credit for things that I do, that I complete, that I work so hard for.
And your final question. How do you feel about getting so much attention doing what you love?
It feels strange.
And those have been your 5 questions.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, right? When like you're just doing something. Like I know people are watching this, right? And when I used to make like my little videos that I would put online, like I know people are watching it. I see the numbers, but you kind of take it for granted. Like the number is just like, whatever. And then when people like approach you and like write, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. People are watching this. It's a weird.
It's totally weird.
It's
Like
weird,
I get
right?
recognized now, and people are like, "Oh, hey, I followed you," and I'm just like I know people are following me, but
Yeah.
it just seems so strange.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to get over. Yeah, when people like, and because of what this is, like I share a lot of who I am, and you get to know my personality a little bit, what I like to eat and stuff. And so people come up, like when I go to restaurants now, be like, "Hey, are you gonna do da-da-da-da?" And they're like, "I'm like, how do you know that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's because I said it on the show." Yeah, I forgot. People watch
Yeah.
this. So yeah, it is interesting. So, did you know that was going to be your burger of choice or your meal of choice
Yeah,
afterwards?
I did.
Yeah.
I love their burgers.
Okay.
And their Parmesan fries are good too.
Okay.
There's just something about the burger.
Yeah. All right. I love burgers. I love burgers. So we're gonna have to give them a try, Tanner.
Why not?
Yeah, man. So did they know like, hey, get my burger ready, I'm coming in, or was it
No.
a surprise?
No.
Okay.
It definitely wasn't like, excuse me, Mr. Mike's,
Yeah.
I'm coming in and I
Yeah.
need my burger like
Yeah.
stat.
I just did 198 kilometers. Like, have it nice and ready for me. That's funny. So I went to the running room a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah?
Yup, and I tried on some of the shoes that you run with. What's the brand called again?
Ultra?
Ultra. It's not what I ended up getting, just
Oh.
because the lady, when I was walking, and she's like, "Okay, these are like the shoes you should get." I ended up, and this is weird. I ended up getting a pair of Brooks.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard? You've heard of Brooks?
I've heard, yeah.
Well, this is my thing with Brooks. Brooks used to be a cheap Zeller shoe
Yes.
back in the day.
You're right.
And so I tried on a bunch of shoes, and as far as running shoes, like price isn't an issue. Like I'm gonna use them. I don't mind spending the money on them.
Right.
So she busted out these Brooks, and they were super expensive as well, by the way. But I was like, I can't. I'm not wearing Brooks. Like in my head, it was like they're these cheap Zeller shoes.
Mhm.
Anyways, I tried everything on, and they were the ones that I ended up like feeling the most comfortable with. And I've been running with them for about a week now. They're awesome. So big shout out to Brooks. You guys make some banging shoes. You're not the Zellers ugly shoes that you used to be. You look cool and like you're really functional.
Reborn from the ashes.
Yeah. So I went on their website. I guess they've totally rebranded, and now they're just like they're a running shoe.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Brooks. I
They
don't.
have some clothing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like a running company now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day, I'm telling you, I had a pair. I had a pair of Brooks. I was super embarrassed to wear them.
Just like Champion.
Oh, Champion.
Champion
was
used
awesome.
to
Good-
it used to be a
Good
Walmart brand.
comparison, yeah.
That's right. Champion, but Champion was like that was the weird thing about Champion though. They used to have like their cheaper clothing that they'd have at like Walmart or Zellers or wherever. However, like they used to sponsor the NBA. So you'd buy a basketball jersey which costs like $80
Mhm.
and it'd have Champion on them and basketball shorts. So like it was an expensive brand, but like
Not for everything.
not for everything. Champion was a weird one, but yeah, now Champion's back in a big way.
Mhm.
Like it's super trendy. Champion and Carhartt. That's a brand where I'm just like,
Yeah. Is that the toques that all
yeah,
the ladies are wearing these days?
that's right. But it's
Yeah.
workwear. Like I used to give guys Carhartt jackets for work,
Mhm.
and like it's it's a brand that's very like functional,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's turned into like
Same with Tim's.
yeah Timberlands. Yeah,
They're just work boots.
right.
But
Well,
people love them.
people love them, and I have a pair of ridiculously expensive Red Wings work boots, and I'm telling you, I don't go out to sight,
Me neither.
but they look cool. So, but yeah. Anyways, the reason I bring it up is I did go and I tried on your shoes. They were very comfortable. I liked them, but ended up going with the Brooks, which hey, so far Brooks,
Yeah, whatever works for you.
awesome shoe. Yeah, I was.
Everybody's feet are different, right?
That's right.
Mine
Well,
are
I-
just flippers, so.
That's right. I was wearing Asics for years, and there was a sweet pair of Asics. I wish it was a hard choice. They're called the Tokyos,
Okay.
and they are like bright orange. And I was like, yeah, like the look of them were so legit, and they're like $400.
Wow.
And I wanted to get those, but the Brooks just felt better. But
Yeah, I started with Asics too.
yeah,
They're wider, I found.
that's right. Yeah, these ones, and the lady was telling me I never knew about this. She's like, they're more game or race day shoes. I guess like race day shoes. I was like, what's the difference? And she's like,
I would like to know too.
yeah, she's because I was like, is it because like the colors are so outrageous? Like you wanna, because they were, and she's like, no, they just don't have the same type of shelf life. You're not gonna get as many kilometers out of them. I'm like, oh, so she's like, yeah, they're lighter and but they're not built for the longevity as some other shoes.
Huh.
I was like, well, that's interesting. I'm like, but you got it. Like, I would never just put on a new pair of shoes for the day I'm running. Like, you'd want to break them in. And she's like, yeah. But
I've done that.
you have
Yeah.
wore
My-
new shoes day one?
Yeah, my
Ooh.
my second 50K,
Yeah?
brand new ice bugs.
Your feet were destroyed.
They were fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Everything I do seems to go against the grain, but it works for me.
Good for you. I was ready for you to say, oh, I had blisters and shin splints, and I was just like
No, I was
wrecked.
fine. And then when I ran that stage race in Costa Rica, they lost my luggage. So
Right.
on day one, I was wearing all new everything, and I was fine.
You're just very lucky. You're very lucky. So that's the end of the show, though. 20 minutes. Tanner just pointed to his watch. We probably went over. We've been going over a lot lately. Sorry about that, everybody at home. But before we let you go, please, one more time, tell everybody who you are, where they can follow you, because I know you're going to continue doing adventures. So how can people follow your journey?
Yeah, so I'm Jessica Leska. You can follow my journey on She Runs North on Facebook or Instagram. And I'll be doing training this summer, weight training, getting ready for the Iditarod And I'll also do another local adventure in January, probably Methane Portage.
Very cool. All right. Well, on that note, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world, that's another episode of the Mac City Morning Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you're having a nice day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
I said this. That's another Mac City Morning Show done.
It's so ballistic!
Talk about quenching your ugly thirst.